Okay, so we're always talking about AI and automation replacing jobs. It's this huge, complicated thing. But what if one of the biggest reasons companies are choosing machines over people isn't just the technology itself, but something we all deal with, the tax code? Let's get into it. To really get a handle on where this is all going, you don't have to look that far into the future. In fact, let's just look at right now. Forget about some distant sci-fi world. Automation is already doing jobs we thought were, uniquely human, personal, service-based stuff. I mean, listen to that. That's a real quote from a video showcasing an AI barber in a pod in Dubai. A robot giving a haircut, promising a style guarantee. It's the perfect little snapshot of how fast this is all moving, right off the factory floor and into our day-to-day lives. It's kind of cool and, yeah, maybe a little unsettling. Okay, so that's one haircut. But now let's zoom out, like way out. Because this isn't just about a few service jobs here and there. We're talking about a massive, global economic shift that creates this really interesting and honestly kind of worrying paradox. 300 million. Just let that number sink in for a second. According to one study, that's how many full-time jobs around the world could be impacted or even replaced by AI. And we're not just talking about repetitive tasks anymore. This includes jobs in law, in engineering, professions we used to think were totally safe. The scale of this is just staggering. And this is the heart of the paradox. It's a great question. If companies automate all the jobs to slash costs, who actually has a paycheck left to go out and buy all the stuff they're making? I mean, it seems like you'd be shooting yourself in the foot, right? But some businesses, they're already figuring out a way to thrive in a world with way fewer customers. And one of the answers they landed on is something called the whale economy. If you're a gamer, you know this model. Most people can play a game for free, but a very, very tiny percentage of players, the whales, spend thousands or even millions of dollars. The entire business model shifts to cater only to this small group of super rich asset owners. Everybody else, well, they're not really the customer anymore. So what's really pushing us down this road so fast? I mean, beyond just the tech getting better and cheaper. Well, it turns out there's this powerful, almost hidden incentive that's baked right into our financial system. And this is where it gets really fascinating. Look at these two numbers. They basically tell the whole story. Research from MIT found that our tax system is heavily tilted in favor of machines. When a company spends $1 on a human worker, they pay about 25 cents in various taxes. But for every dollar they spend on automation, the software, the robots, that tax is only about 5 cents. The system is basically screaming at businesses, choose the robot, not the person. And this chart really drives it home. This isn't something that just happened overnight. For the last 4 decades, that top line, the effective tax rate on labor, has stayed consistently high. But look at the bottom lines. The taxes on equipment and software, they've absolutely plummeted. A big reason for this is stuff like depreciation allowances, which let companies write off the cost of new machines super fast, making them an even better deal on paper. Now here's the really crucial part. This tax imbalance leads to what researchers call so-so technologies. The best example? The self-checkout machine. We've all been there, right? It gets rid of a cashier's job, but does it actually make your life better or faster? A lot of the time, no. But for the business, thanks to that tax advantage, it still makes financial sense to install it. It's basically automation for automation's sake, pushing people out jobs without creating any real economic benefit. Okay, so if the problem is this tangled mess of technology, tax policy, and business strategy, what on earth do we do about it? As you can imagine, the debate about solutions is really starting to heat up, everywhere from Reddit threads to the halls of government. This comment from a discussion online just cuts right to the heart of how a lot of people feel. There's this deep suspicion that when a company saves a bunch of money by automating jobs, those savings don't get passed on to you and me in the form of lower prices. And here's another one that just perfectly captures the logic. If you're a public company, your main goal is quarterly growth and shareholder value. So why would you lower prices when you could just pocket the difference as higher profit margins? From this point of view, automation isn't about creating a better, cheaper world for everyone. It's a tool to extract more value for the owners. So what ideas are actually on the policy table? Well, they're pretty big. You've got universal basic income, or UBI, which would give everyone a basic financial floor. Some people are proposing a robot tax to try and level that playing field between human workers and machines. Then there's stuff like wage insurance to help people who have to take a pay cut. And of course, the big ones, massive job retraining programs, and just a much stronger social safety net in general.
Every single one of these is its own huge debate.
When you put all of this together, it really feels like we are standing at a fork in the road. As this technology accelerates, we're not just stumbling into one single future. It feels like we are actively choosing between two very, very different paths forward.
So, path A is the whale economy. This is the future we get if we just continue on our current trajectory. Wealth keeps concentrating into the hands of the people who own the robots and the AI. The value of most human labor just keeps falling, and the whole economy reshapes itself to serve a tiny, incredibly wealthy elite.
But there is another path. The economist Jeremy Rifkin calls it the collaborative commons. This is a future where automation and technology make the cost of producing things so incredibly cheap that they become almost free. Think about how information and entertainment works online now. This vision takes that idea and applies it to physical stuff, like locally produced renewable energy or 3D printed goods, all shared in a community. It's a world built more on access and collaboration instead of just ownership and profit.
And that really brings us to the final, most important point. Automation isn't like the weather. It's not some unstoppable force of nature that's just happening to us. It's the result of thousands of choices, business choices, investment choices, and policy choices, like how we decide to tax a person versus a machine. The technology itself is just a tool. The real question isn't what's coming. The question is, which one of these futures are we choosing to build right now?